All right. So hi everyone. I'm Cheyenne Martin. I'm the program manager for the South Texas Community Health Worker Workforce Preparedness Collaborative. Who is if any of your first time here, raise a hand, say hello, say me in the chat box. I can't see everyone. Let's see, I can see more people now. All right. Hi, Monica. Thanks for joining. Hi, Delia. Great to see some new people on. I was looking at our registration numbers recently, and we have had people join from over 150 cities in Texas, 6 states in addition to Texas, and 1 other country. We've had some people from Cameroon join for multiple webinars. So this webinar is open to any CHW, promotora, community liaison who wants more skills to thrive in their position, to attack the stresses of work and be able to stay a community health worker, stay a promotor, and serve your community no matter where you are. This is our 12th webinar in a row. We have not taken a break. I'm very proud of that. And our attendance is just growing. So thank you all for being with us. And so let's move on for today. So let's get over to resume share. Sorry, I'm not sure what's going on. Bear with me. Okay. Well, I will just stop my sharing screen. So today I'm super excited to have Dr. Vazan with us back. So if you were here last month, you knew that we started a 2-part series for getting a job. But we're taking a break from that series to honor Mental Health Awareness Month. And so we have Dr. Vazan from the Mid-Rio Grande border AHEC, who is going to talk about achieving wellness in the workforce as a CHW, which is so important. Let's see. Can you guys see it? Yep. Let's see. Here we are. Well, you guys will just see this. Because what I want to do is I want to put this chat link or the survey link in the chat box right away from the very beginning, so everyone gets if you're a certified CHW or promotor, then you can fill out this survey link to get your CEU at the end. And without further ado, I will turn it over to Dr. Vazan.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's really good to see all of you virtually, and I really look forward to spending this time with you. Like Shay mentioned, May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and that's something that all of us should take very seriously and do our best to maintain that wellness. I do want to acknowledge Shay for her support and always being there with us, doing all the behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, all over the place, and Jason for their support always in the initiative and bringing these wonderful resources to our communities in South Texas. So as she mentioned, and thank you so much for that nice introduction, Shay, this is part of a series. A little bit about myself before we continue. I just want to tell you that I've been the executive director for, hello? I've been with the Area Health Education Center as the executive director since 2010. And for those of you that might not know, our Mid-Rio Grande Border Area Health Education Center is located in Laredo, Texas, and we do serve multiple counties in South Texas. I am also the president for the National Area Health Education Center organization, and I have been part of the board since 2018. My education includes a doctoral degree in organizational leadership, master's degree in healthcare administration, a bachelor's degree in social sciences, and I am a certified community health worker. So I am very proud of that. Today's presentation, like Shay said, will focus on workforce well-being. And by the end of this presentation, I hope that we will be able to discuss ways to manage secondary trauma, identify some recommended tools to achieve work-life balance, and learn some ways to managing personal challenges. So those are the goals for today. Let's see if we can accomplish those. So trauma, let's go ahead and talk about that. What is trauma? And before I continue, I just want to say, if you have any questions as we are moving along through the presentation, please jot them down in the chat box and we will come and address them, or feel free to interrupt. I have no problem with people interrupting me if I need to go back and clarify or repeat myself. So this is our network. This is our comfort zone, and we're all together to learn from one another. So please do that. So what is trauma? Trauma is the experience of highly stressful or distressing events that are difficult to cope with or that are out of our control. Now, this could be a single incident or an ongoing event over a long period of time. And most people will experience trauma at some point in their lives. Now, let's talk about secondary trauma. Secondary trauma is witnessing or hearing about a distressing event, even if you were not present when it happened. Just hearing and thinking about upsetting events in the news can be traumatic. And some of the examples of secondary trauma include witnessing a crime, witnessing a parent, sibling, or loved one being abused, watching videos or reading in the news about hate crimes, or I'm sorry, I'm having interruptions on this thing. Watching videos or reading the news about hate crimes or police violence. But most importantly, a really great example that I wanted to share with you is that our first responders, they see things that you and I will never see. They respond, they're the first ones on the scene to a crime, an accident, or something horrible that happens. So they probably deal with secondary trauma more frequently than we do. How can trauma affect you? After a traumatic event, as your mind and body try to process what has happened, you may experience physical and mental health symptoms that can make it hard to overcome what you just saw or witnessed, thus impacting your relationships at home, work, and at school. And the important thing to remember is that there's no one right way to react to trauma. Trauma responses can look very different in different people, and this is based on their experiences and the amount of support that they receive. Now, here's some emotional responses to trauma. Of course, there's many, but these are some of the most common. Denial. That's the first thing that sometimes happens when we pretend that the accident or the incident that we experienced or we witnessed did not occur. We try to put it out of our mind. The other thing, confusion. Confused about where you are, what happened, or what reality might be from one moment to the next. And that is emotional response to trauma. Feeling like your beliefs of living in a safe place or a safe world have been shattered. You know, the amount of fear in you is so incredible that you feel completely unsafe about your surroundings and where you are. One of the things that we can think about is when we started to hear and see about the COVID-19 impacting our communities. I don't know about you, but many of us in our community felt the fear of we're not safe. Anxiety is also another emotional response to trauma. And that is a feeling anxious and uneasy without any reason, just anxiety suddenly coming over you. Depression, pulling away from others and becoming isolated and unwilling to participate in things that you normally would participate in. Those are some of the emotional responses to trauma. Now let's talk about the physical responses to trauma. Some of the common responses include trouble falling or staying asleep, having nightmares or night terrors, the feeling with low energy or feeling exhausted, even though you might have gotten a good night's sleep or you have rested or you're on vacation or you're off of work, you still feel exhausted, feeling tense and with tight muscles, beginning to develop headaches, feeling chest pains. And also, one of the things that we kind of overlook, and it could be a physical response to trauma, is chronic unexplained pains. For example, you begin to develop backaches for no reason. So those are some of the things that you need to look at and be on the lookout for, not just in you, but the people around you that might be experiencing secondary trauma. So those are the physical responses to trauma. Managing secondary trauma, there are a variety of ways. The mental and physical responses to trauma can be overwhelming. And as painful as it can be, most of us can and do begin to recover. And it is never too soon or too late to get help. You may want to pull away from others or just shake it off. But research has shown again and again that the key to feeling better is getting support from others to help face how trauma has impacted you. And you can do this by getting support from friends, family, mental health professionals, or you can seek help, someone to talk to. Sometimes just talking about it will make it better. You can also seek professional help. Whatever it is that you're going through, you're not alone. There's good help available, and you can use it to start feeling better and move forward to a better future. The important thing to remember is that seeking help is good and it is available for you. Another resource is the 988, which is a 24-hour, 7 days a week suicide and crisis lifeline, available from anywhere in the United States. It is available in English and Spanish. So this is a valuable resource that can be used by anyone. And not only do you just able to call, you can also text. Another way to manage trauma is to practice self-care. Okay, so what is self-care? Self-care is the practice of taking an active role in protecting one's well-being and happiness, in particular during periods of stress. Let's talk about the types of self-care: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, intellectual, environmental, social. Sometimes people think of self-care and they just feel like immediately pamper yourself. Pampering yourself and self-care are very different. So let's go ahead and see what they are. On the physical care, this can include your diet, your sleep, and your exercise. For example, you may decide to improve the nutritional content of your meals. Remember to do so one at a time. Also, sleep. Think about looking at your sleeping patterns and seeing if you are in fact getting the recommended amount of sleep. Are you getting 7 to 8 hours or maybe less? Those are things to consider as you begin to do physical self-care. Another thing that you can do is exercise. You may consider just being more active. For example, start by going for a walk, work on your garden, or maybe sign up for a yoga or exercise class with one of your friends, your colleagues. Some kind of exercise is good for you, and it's a first step in taking this physical self-care. Mental self-care. This can include positive thinking, maintain positive thoughts. This can be done by recalling happy moments that can help you to look for the positive side in things or events. For example, it can be as simple as noticing the beauty of the day, the birds that are singing outside, the colors around you, your pets, your plants, your flowers, anything that brings a positive feeling can contribute to positive thinking because you already have a positive feeling inside of you. So you tend to have positive thoughts. The use of self-talk. It's okay to remind yourself of the positive things about you that you see that maybe others overlook. For example, you can look in the mirror and do some self-talk. Tell yourself, I am going to have a great day, and looking at yourself in the mirror, or I feel great, or I like my hair today the way it looks. I love my smile. You can even place a post-it note on your mirror to remind you to do some self-talk whenever you have a chance. And you can do this many times during the day. The more that you do it, the better your confidence level and you feel good about yourself. Therapy is another form of mental self-care. Seeking therapy can help your mental self-care. Reaching out for help is okay. And now there's multiple resources available within your community and also thanks to technology via Zoom and other platforms. Emotional self-care. Increase self-awareness. Take a moment from your responsibilities or daily chores to learn how you're feeling. Ask yourself, how am I feeling? Did I sleep okay? Do I feel anxious? Is my stress level good? Maybe am I overreacting to things? What's going on with me? This is important because it is a way to prepare yourself for what comes next in your day. This is a moment that gives you time to be in touch with your needs, to feel good, or to do things that maybe will make you feel good. Another thing that you can do for emotional self-care is journaling, writing down your feelings, concerns, and everything you feel that is bothering you or that makes you happy. This simple exercise can help declutter your emotions and thoughts and will give you that good feeling that you need. Spiritual care. Some people choose to practice their faith to help them feel close to their higher power, and they do this through prayer. You may also consider taking time to meditate. Some people choose to do so at the start of the day, but meditation can be done anytime during the day as long as you dedicate the time to do so. One of the things that I like to do if I'm having a really stressful day and I have back-to-back meetings or I feel like I can't see the light of day, as they say, I like to go in my car and meditate for a few minutes and then come back to the reality, which is chaotic sometimes. And so meditation can be done anywhere, anytime, as long as you dedicate that time. Another more common method for spiritual care is to practice yoga. Whatever you choose, it is important to include spiritual self-care. Social self-care. This includes maintaining good boundaries in relationships because they can help create a good setting for socializing that includes respect and harmony. So good boundaries is very important for social self-care. Support. Seeking support from others is a natural way to improve social self-care. One of the things, for example, is inviting someone to attend a family event with you for support, or inviting someone to attend your presentation with you for support, like I did with my AHEC team. All of this can contribute to your social self-care. Positive relationships. Nurturing positive relationships with your family members, co-workers, and friends can provide for your social self-care. Work-life balance. Having a work-life balance is also a must for attaining social self-care. Now let's talk about achieving work-life balance, because I believe this is a very important thing to talk about. What is work-life balance? It is the trade-off between the time spent at work and the time spent on other non-work activities. Many parts of work can have huge effects on someone's personal life, and many aspects of a person's personal life can affect his or her work as well. So maintaining that balance is very important. The reasons for the imbalance in having a life and work and life work balance can include long work hours, poor time management, lack of self-care, and one of the most prevalent reasons is technology. In the modern world of fast technology, it is very difficult for all of us to find a healthy relationship between work and personal life. Sometimes we're connected to our work, not just at the workplace, but at home, on vacation, while we're traveling, and at other personal non-work events or locations. I mean, it happens to me, so I know that I'm talking to a group of similar people like me that are doing that. So these are the reasons for the imbalance of work life. Let's look at the risk for a work life out of balance. And you can see from the risks that there will always be unresolved problems or issues that you have not been able to clear up, whether it's personal or with friends or at work. Your performance, whether it's at work or at a part of a group somewhere, will be very poor. It will not be up to your standards. You will have poor health, both emotional and physical. And of course, your relationships will suffer. But the one thing that I think that is a major risk is that you will lead a very stressful life, or more stressful than what you should be. And this will happen if your work life is out of balance. Some of the solutions, of course, can be many more than the ones listed here, but this is just a starting point. Like you can prioritize tasks so that you don't overwhelm yourself with everything you have to do for one day. You can schedule some time off. You can communicate with your leader regarding the too many projects at one time, help you prioritize that, make time for yourself. And one of the things is that I try to do, and I encourage the staff, is when you leave work at work. Do not take it with you. What are the benefits of work-life imbalance? A feeling of fulfillment. It will also result in great productivity. It can support strong relationships. It will allow you to give 100% of yourself to your work, and you will actually enjoy doing your work because you're not feeling stressed. And you will enjoy your time off because you have already achieved that work-life balance. A recap on the benefits of a good work-life balance: fewer health problems, lower risk of burnout, and better relationships.
Some people are workaholics and are more than happy to put in all that extra time. Take Thomas Edison, one of the most famous inventors of his time. Edison regularly clocked in over 100 hours a week. Can you imagine that? For most of us, even the regular 9 to 5 can be a bit of a grind. But then I guess we aren't busy inventing cool things like, well, a light bulb. In fact, if it wasn't for Edison putting in those extra hours, you possibly wouldn't be sitting here right now. It'd at least be a bit darker. Okay, so you're not Edison, but unlike him, you'll have the free time outside work to strive for all the things you want from your career and your personal life, whether that's design.
Here are some quick tips to start your work-life balance. Planning time for yourself will help you to recharge and to learn to let go. Reframe rest. Think about rest. What is it exactly? I know what it means, if you look it up in the dictionary, but what does it mean for us? And do we really do it? So reframe your rest. Enjoy the weekend. Treat the upcoming weekend as if it were a holiday. And what I mean by that, no phone, no agenda, and even plan a focused outing with your date, with your family, like a walk to the park, visit a new cafe, or go sightseeing. You don't have to spend any money, just enjoy the weekend. Make it a holiday. Create clear boundaries for time off. Let your email contacts know I will be offline during this time. I know many of us, and I'm guilty. I will not do that. I'll just say, I will be out this day and this day, but I do not put I will be offline during that time. And I think that's very important because you allow yourself to break away from your emails, to break away from the things that can distract you from enjoying your time off. Negotiate more time on tasks. This prevents tasks from overflowing interpersonal life and personal time. Talk to your supervisor and ask for more time on the adjustable deadlines. For example, if you have a project that you're working on and the internal deadline might be Monday, but in reality that things don't have to be completed until Thursday or Friday, visit with your supervisor and adjust those deadlines. And you might be surprised. I know for us here, we rather have someone that is feeling good about themselves, that will be more productive than someone that is dealing with the pressures of everyday life. So giving that extra time is very important. Vacation. This means not working during time off. If you do so, then it's not a vacation, it's really telecommuting. And treat things that are important to your mind, spirit as a priority, depending on when you need it. Doing this can help you with your personal challenges. Now let's talk about navigating personal challenges. We all can relate to personal challenges at work, with our family, at school, with friends. Stop and think, what are some of your recent personal challenges? We all have them, right? Sometimes we have them more than once a day. Sometimes we have none in a day, which is great, but we all have them. So let's see. How do we respond to challenges? And when we are faced with an unexpected personal challenge, we may all respond differently. Here are some ways we may respond. Fear and anxiety. We're afraid of the situation or the occurrence, and we become anxious about it. Self-doubt. We begin to doubt ourselves, whether or not we are capable of handling the challenge. We also do negative thinking. We start to have negative thoughts by blaming ourselves or blaming others or thinking it's not going to work out. We also do procrastination. We decide to put it off, the challenge, until we are ready to deal with it. But are we really going to deal with it? We worry over resources. We immediately begin to worry about the impact that this challenge will have on our budget. A great example is this. If you go out in the morning to go to work, you turn on your car and it doesn't turn on. Then you discover that your battery is completely dead and it's no longer a good battery. What happens? Well, then you're facing the reality, the personal challenge that you have to buy a new battery that is worth $150. That was not in your budget. So you start worrying about all of that instead of looking at the current challenge in front of you. And then many of us want perfectionism. We only seek perfection. We only seek the perfect solution. Otherwise, we're not going to try anything else. Step away from that. So those are some of the ways that we respond to challenges. Some tips for navigating personal challenges. Remember that each situation and our encounter is unique. What happens to us or around us is one thing, but how we react is another thing. Navigating challenges with grace involves a combination of mindset, actions, and behaviors. Here are some tips to support you. Most important thing to remember is to stay calm. Take deep breaths and try to ground yourself in the present moment, dealing with a challenge that's in front of you. Practice acceptance. Acknowledge that challenges are a natural part of life. Accept them as opportunities for growth and learning. Focus on the solution. Don't dwell on the problem. Shift your focus in finding solutions. Break down the challenge into manageable steps and brainstorm with potential ways to overcome it. Seek support. Reach out to friends, family, or colleagues for support and guidance. Sometimes talking to someone else can provide some insights and perspectives. Maintain perspective. Remember that challenges are often temporary and that you have overcome difficulties in the past. Remind yourself of your strengths and capabilities. Practice self-compassion. Be kind to yourself during challenging times. Sometimes we forget that, and instead of giving each other encouragement and ourselves encouragement, we beat ourselves up. Stay flexible. Be willing to adapt and adjust your approach as needed. And learn from your setbacks. These are opportunities for growth rather than failures. Above all, stay positive. Maintain a positive attitude and focus on the things that you can control, not those that you cannot control. Understand that overcoming challenges takes time and effort, so be patient. Practice patience. These are tips that can be done for navigating personal challenges. Okay, challenges are opportunities. The key is to view each experience as an opportunity for learning, growth, and healing. At the moment, because there's so many emotions involved, we might not see it that way. The important thing to remember is that you have the power to choose how to handle the stress of a challenge or difficulty. And I have realized that the way I handle the problem sometimes is the problem. So I need to choose to be resilient, accept the things that are happening, and have faith. Or I can choose to allow the circumstances of life or challenges to lead me into spiral of despair, and I will lose control of everything that I am and everything that I really want to do. So the challenges are opportunities. Remember your takeaways from today's presentation. Trauma, that we all experience it, but help is available. Work-life balance begins with self-care, and we owe it to ourselves. The challenge is we choose how we manage each situation. And when all of that fails, if you have a pet, go and play with your pet to de-stress. If you love plants, go and talk to your plants and de-stress. Whatever makes you happy, turn yourself and do more of that so that you can begin to make a difference in learning to deal with stressors of life, at work, and any other place that you feel that you need help with. Thank you so much for your time. And if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to try to answer them.
Thanks, Dr. Bazan. I have a few reflections that I want to share, and then ask you a question, and then open it up to everyone else. So I recall you said, leave your work at work, which as I've gotten older and my family has grown, I now strive for that. But not everyone is lucky enough to have a work phone. So a lot of us give our cell phones out, and people will call or text all day and night. And I think that's something where, like, I've personally decided for myself, like, okay, if it's a number I don't recognize, it is okay not to answer after 5 p.m., after 6 p.m. If it's an emergency, I'll get it in a voicemail or text, but otherwise it can wait for the next day. So that's one way that I see, like, being a CHW is not a 9-to-5 job. It is all the time. Needs happen all the time. Do you have any tips for people here on, like, how you can create that environment where we leave our work at work, whether that work is in the hospital, on a sidewalk, at the park, in a school?
And that's a very important point that you made, Shay, and it's difficult. And thank you for asking, how do we begin to do that? Different tips work for different people, right? But one of the things that I would like to say is that things will not happen overnight. You need to practice what you want to achieve. So, for example, today, if you know that your off time or going home time is at 5 o'clock, set an alarm on your phone at 4:40 so that it tells you that you have 20 minutes to wrap it up, to finish whatever you need to finish, and leave everything ready for the next day. In other words, organize your desk, organize your list of things to do. So in the morning when you get there, you are ready to go. You're not going home thinking, oh, I need to do this tomorrow when I get to the office, or I need to call so-and-so. You have 20 minutes to organize your mind and your place of work for the next day. So in your mind, you're already detaching. It takes practice, but it does work. Once you're driving home, you're not thinking about anything else. You want to start thinking about, oh, my baby's waiting for me at daycare. I'm going to pick her up and do this, or I'm going to cook this for dinner. That is living the moment. You don't want to allow work to overlap with your wishes, the things that make you happy. So practice is important. It's not going to happen overnight.
I love that. I'm going to start doing that today. I'm always like, oh, one more thing, and then it's 5:15, and then I'm in traffic, and yeah. So thank you. Thanks, Linda. Anyone else have questions? Wanna present Julie with a scenario? get her tip for it. Yeah, Cynthia.
I have a question. I work from 8 to 5, but sometimes during lunch, the phone is ringing and ringing and ringing and ringing. So what can I do? And at the time I finish my lunch, I return the calls. But most of my consumers get mad at me, like, why you didn't answer the phone? I was calling you. You're supposed to answer the phone. And I was telling, like, ma'am, I'm so sorry. I was in lunch. How can I do that to explain them, like, ma'am, I'm in lunch. I need to have my free time, like, without get offended them with that.
Yes, and Cynthia, thank you for that question. That's very important. And when you say they get mad, is the people that are trying to reach you, right? The people that you serve. And one of the things that you have to concern yourself with, Cynthia, because right now you're concerned about what they're thinking and that they're mad, begin to switch that focus and put it on you. Be concerned on the fact that you're not giving yourself that time that you need to disconnect so that you can better serve people. So what you do for the people that once you finish your lunch hour and then you answer the phone and they greet you with that aggressiveness or says, I've been calling you, you don't answer the phone. All you say is, well, thank you for calling me back. I'm available to help you now. That's all you have to do. Sometimes you have to acknowledge the fact that people are feeling frustrated. And so the way you acknowledge that is by saying, oh, okay, well, thank you for calling back. That's all you have to say. You don't have to say anything else, because sometimes the person just wants to hear that you heard their message. And that's all. You worry about how you feel if you don't take that lunch hour. You worry about how your stress level is going to be sky high if you don't detach completely.
I love that, like a strength-based approach. You're turning it around, and Cynthia, like you're becoming the person who has something to offer. Not that you are this person hiding away during lunch.
This is Belle. I wanted to chime in, if that's okay.
Yes.
Dr. Bazan, I wanted to chime in on that with for Cynthia. One of the things that that's helped for us is to start educating our clients about, you know, different times. So Cynthia, maybe once you do talk to them, letting them know, just remember, I take lunch from 12 to 1, so I won't be available. So the next person, you know, you're talking to them and stuff, just, I'm here to help, but remember from 12 to 1 is my lunch hour. So that's the time. So that education, you know, about, and that way they start to learn, oh, that's right, it's 12 to 1. I'll call her at 1, that kind of thing. So education, slowly starting to educate your clients about, I'm available, you know, from this time to this time, but on this time, that's my lunch hour and I will not be available.
Excellent point, Bill. Thank you so much for sharing. And I'm glad that you joined us today.
Thank you.
And then I just
Ruben,
see Susanna also commented, you can leave your schedule in the voice message. So if people are reaching you off hours, they'll be told that you'll return their call during normal business hours. And yes, Julie, I think you're about to recognize Ruben with his hand up.
yes, Ruben raised his hand.
And Ruben, you're on mute. So if you want to unmute yourself. Ruben, if you have a question, if you could unmute yourself. Otherwise, maybe you can put your question in the chat box. Let's see. Are any other questions?
I just have a comment. My name is Sylvia De Los Santos and I'm CHW at Metro Health. I would just say that maybe the customer's past experience is that when people say they're going to call back, they don't, because I know I've had that happen to me. So and then so when they finally get through, they're aggravated because, you know, they have that feeling again, well, they were never going to get back to me anyway. So just if you tell people, you know, I'll call you back when I'm through with my lunch or whatever, please make sure you call them back. You know, that's the ultimate in customer service, is making sure they're not forgotten. And I think that you need to make sure that, you know, you do what you say, because, you know, they expect that. Believe me, I've worked with plenty of rude customers, but there's also the other side, you know, where, yeah, we wait and wait and wait for people to call back, and they just say they're going to. I would tell some of my people, I'm you know, in the past, you know, I don't think that I'm gonna be able to call you back right away with an answer. But if you'll give me till 5 o'clock today, I should come up with something. You know, and so if it was 11 o'clock, you know, that they called in the morning, I'd say by 5 o'clock in the afternoon. If they said, you know, if they called me at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and we closed at 5, I'd say give me till noon tomorrow or something, you know, but at least I give them an expectation of a time so that they wouldn't call back and say, well, you said you were going to call me. Yes, but I also didn't say what time, you know, but I give this way, I'm setting the times, you know, and then go through with it. You know, I know things come up, but you know, you have to give if you give your word, you know, that's all you've really got is your word, and you can lose that trust real quick if you don't follow through.
Excellent point. Excellent point. And I think that's something that we all try to practice very hard. Sometimes, you know, the time gets away from us, but even if it's first thing in the morning, call that person back. So thank you for that. It's really important to do that. The other thing that I want to add to that is that we sometimes don't know what people are going through, right? So they might come across as rude, but maybe they're really dealing with challenges that they don't know how to manage. So us reacting to that will not make matters well for either them or us. So just acknowledging the person and then being courteous.
Thank you both. I do have a question about another topic, and that's experiencing secondary trauma as a CHW. A lot of community health workers have experienced trauma themselves, and maybe supporting a client going through a similar situation brings up old memories, or just experiencing the agony that this person's going through. Community health workers at the end of the day have to go home with that story and thinking about the supports that they are providing their clients, their community. Dr. Bazan, can you offer more specific or comment more specifically on managing secondary trauma beyond your PowerPoint, or some tips?
So secondary trauma, like I mentioned earlier, and I'll use the first responders, they respond to a shooting or maybe horrible car accident. If they don't learn to deal with their emotions before they go home, they will definitely take their work home with them, but in a way that it's very traumatic for them, and it can result in hurting themselves, their families, by the way they're acting, or not being able to be a good father, a good son, whatever the situation is at home. I know a lot of the first responders have systems in place, at least in our community, where they have the place where that first responder goes to immediately when they come back from that traumatic scene or event that they saw, so that they can debrief, they can help begin to get it out of their system. Because remember that secondary trauma, you don't deal with it from one moment to the next. It's a process, and we all deal with it differently. But the important thing is to seek help right away, or just talk to someone and start kind of getting it out of your system. There's no correct way to deal with secondary trauma.
Thank you. Any comments or questions on that subject?
When the astronauts come back from the moon, they have to decompress. And, oftentimes I think we forget that we have to decompress when we come out of a traumatizing session with the client. And, it's vital. It's vital to everyone around you. Thank you, Dr. Basan. Great stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, any final comments or questions before we wrap up?
I know I work as a linkage specialist, CHW, and I had a secondary trauma event where I witnessed the mom losing her rights in the CPS case. And well, I did have to be there and see her having to give her baby away, and him not wanting to let go of her. So that was a little bit shock for me, and it did resonate. So but yes, I did practice self-care by receiving advice from my director and supervisor, and then the same type of self-care that Ms. Basan stated in her presentation. So thank you.
Thank you for that comment, Judy.
Thank you, Dr. Rosenfeld, for your comment in the chat box, which is why we're hosting this session today. Every 2 years, you all have to submit your CEUs to be recertified as a CHW, and every 2 years, or year over year, only about a third of CHWs are renewing their certification. And I know during COVID, the work got really tough, and you all were on the front lines and putting yourself at risk, and maybe with a lack of support, depending on who you are working with or volunteering with. And so at the end of the day, I hope you all will put yourself first and take the time you need and the seek the resources that are out there. Dr. Brazan, can you remind us of the support line for the state?
Yes, it's actually a national suicide and crisis hotline, and that is 988. And people can call or they can text, and someone, a mental health professional, will answer that call or will reply to your text. But the important thing, like you said, Shay, we need to take care of ourselves so that we can take care of those around us. And we cannot take a step forward unless we make sure that both our legs are ready to take us forward, right? So do not let the people around you that are dealing with something suffer because you're not well. There's many that depend on us at work, in our communities, in our families. But the only way we can be there is if we take that self-care more seriously.
Yes, thank you. All right, so thank you everyone for spending your lunch hour with us. I hope that everyone got a break and no one was answering your phone, but if you had to, it's okay. Maybe it's something you can put into practice starting today. So I just put 3 links in the chat box. I'm also going to show you 3 QR codes. So, and I will also send these 3 links in the email. So whatever works best for you. So the first one is if you are certified, then you can receive a non-DSHS certified continuing education unit for today. Next month, we will have Belle, who we heard from today, as the director of the South Coastal AHEC. She'll be resuming our job applications or our employment readiness series. And last time it was all about what you write to be asked for that interview. Next month, the last Thursday of the month, it will be on how to succeed in that interview. There was one CHW in our community who recently got a job that I had circulated around. So I'm very excited. I'm looking forward to more stories. And so if you are looking for a job change or are currently a volunteer and looking for paid employment, then please attend next month. That is the second link in the chat box, and I'll also send this out. And then finally, if you want to be on those emails that I send for region-specific trainings and jobs, please fill out this survey. When I get a job announcement, I send it out based on the county that people live in. So I try not to spam everyone. And occasionally if there's regional training opportunities, I send those too. And I send those as well. So I'm just going to put those 3 links again in the chat. You are free to sign off if you have what you need. If you need me, I'm going to stop recording. If you need me to go back to a previous slide because you want to